Chapter 19. Grandma texts at last. School out? One good thing about cancer, it makes small stuff smaller and big stuff bigger. Here's some big stuff, Kiana. I love the hiking photo. And you too, sweet one. Any adventures today? My head clears and the tingliest part of the day comes back. I ate lunch with Jaden. I'm going to write a song. That's my girl. But I'm worried about you. The doctors have a long list of plans for me. Everything's okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. I ponder that and send 3 pink daisies. At home, I shrug off my backpack and find a cheese stick in the fridge. I check the clock. An hour before Dad and Mamito come home. I'm in the clear. I lift Dad's guitar from its hook on the living room wall. My hands are smaller than his, but I manage to press the right strings for a G chord. The strings leave creases on my finger pads, but as I practice the chord, it sounds clearer and bigger. Like a full choir in my hands, I strum down, down, up, down, down, the pattern I learned on the video. Notes splash into the air. I check YouTube for the next 2 fingerings. C is hard, and my third finger can barely reach its string. Repetition helps, but I move on to D, which turns out to be the easiest. I start a simple song. At each chord change, I stop and position my fingers. Geez, it takes forever to sing one verse. Dad makes it look so effortless. I practice moving my hands from one chord to the next, cycling through G, C, D, G, C, D. An image of Jaden at the tree today pops into my head and a melody forms around a sentence. The more I know you, the more I want to know you more. My song's first line. A car door slams. I silence the strings with the flat of my hand and dash to the hook on the wall. The guitar's neck slides, and just as the front door opens, I sprint to the couch and sit, my heart pounding. Hey, Dad, I wave. He walks in, Mamito close behind. Hola, mija. So glad to be home. He doesn't notice my fast breathing or ask why I'm randomly sitting on the couch with nothing in my hands. Whew. I stand up and Mamito runs to me for a spin around, then grabs his dump truck and starts running it in a figure 8 around the couch and the coffee table. What's that? I ask. Dad's unwrapping a rectangular bristly thing. It looks like a brush for scrubbing potatoes. A sensory integration brush. Mamito's teacher gave it to us. She says brushing his skin might help him be less sensitive. Brushing his skin? We'll take it out for a whirl. You mean give it a whirl? Yes, mija, he says, rolling his eyes and rubbing his head. I smooth my hair. Is he going to get his hearing checked too? Soon. Mamito is still running his dump truck in the figure 8. I get busy lifting down dinner plates. Set a plate for your mother too, Dad says. Her evening class got canceled. Let's use the dining table. The dining table? Eating together at the dining table makes this feel like Thanksgiving in October. I'm so excited that I fold paper napkins into special standing fans. Dad lights 2 candles that flicker at first from the dust on their wicks, but find a steady shine just as we hear the front door open. Well, isn't this beautiful? Mom says. We say a prayer and a deep peace settles over the room. Even Mamito stays quiet. Nights like this make Dad thoughtful, and sure enough, he starts a story after we eat. Don Quixote, man of La Mancha. Again, we hear about the crazy knight on his creaky horse on the sun-scorched plains of Spain. This time, it's a part of the story where he's rescuing a beaten servant, a boy lashed for bad sheep herding. I've heard the windmill fight scene over and over, but this part is new. Don Quixote hears the shepherd boy crying and stops his horse. The boy's master is raising a leather strap in the air. You there, stop, Quixote says. The man stops, and Quixote lectures him on honor and morals. Of course you're right, Don Quixote. The man bows and promises to treat the boy well. But it's a lie. The man picks up his leather strap after Quixote rides away. You see how important it is to keep people from abusing their power, Dad finishes. All my life I've agreed with him, but this story makes me frown. That's not a good story, I say. Mamito has been chugging his sippy cup, but now he stares at me. The boy wasn't rescued. I'm genuinely mad. Quixote just thinks he saved the day because he leaves before seeing that he didn't even do anything. Why would that convince anyone not to abuse their power? The bad guy won. Every word I think of saying has a spike in it, and the more my father tilts his head toward the ceiling and looks into the distance, the more I want to shake him. If Quixote can't rescue anyone, how can he call himself a knight? He's a fake. It takes time to understand the stories, Dad says. In Guatemala, you'll meet an uncle who reads Don Quixote every year. No, I won't. Quixote never does any good, I counter. Not in any episode I've heard. My father considers this. He isn't angry, but I wish he were. It's true, he said. It doesn't matter, though. I raised my voice. It does matter. The room goes quiet. I've said enough. I can tell because my mother puts her fork down, but I can't back down. It matters. Ask the boy. It matters to him. Suddenly I want to scream at them, to fling back black bolts of lightning. I try to keep my thoughts from veering to the boys at the bus stop and their open faces. What good is being a knight if you can't change the world? Make things actually better. Why is this day falling apart? You named me after a failure. The last word comes out cracked. I cover my face with my hands. I can feel my parents looking at each other and the cheery candlelight mocking me. I've ruined our one family dinner. Mom turns to Mamito. Go wash your hands, mijo, she says as she lifts him down from his booster seat. He scurries down the hallway and she faces me, takes a deep breath, and then smiles, a somehow serious smile. Quijana. Your name comes from Alonso Quijana. He's the man who became Don Quixote. I already know this and say nothing. The man who took up his lance to make things right. My father's voice is too gentle. I don't look at him. He screwed up, I say to my plate. He screws up everything. My cheeks feel hot, and I know I'm talking about myself. I picture Jaden realizing that I'm not smart, not interesting, not worth asking to prom now or ever. Out of the fabric of failure, Quixote sows success, Dad says. What does that mean? He makes the effort for its own sake. His heart is true no matter what. Think of it this way, Mom says. The world is always against him, but he tries against all odds. They must think I am more loca than the knight, that I am just what school kids teased me about back in elementary, too serious. I want to make a real difference, not an imaginary one that only I believe in. Dad slides his hand toward me across the table. You don't have to be perfect, Kiana. You are named for the ordinary man, a man who tried his best. Mom leans in. Failing is part of life, more common than not. But the try is what matters, Key. That's stupid. I want to kick the leg of the table. Why can't Quixote win once in a while? I want to do more than fight losing battles. I try to stay mad, but the feeling passes when I look at my father's face, still warm after my coldness, still soft after my hardness. Sometimes the lost causes are the noblest, he says, his voice like warm milk in a mug. I'm not sure this is so, but a weariness moves through me. I just want to be done with this day. Someday, Quijana, you'll read Don Quixote and understand. Or we could read it together, an English translation, of course, one page every night. How did we get here? My parents haven't read me bedtime stories for years. Why is he always trying to establish a Spanish colony in my brain? Dad, I say to the table, that's the last book I want to read. I feel him looking at me, but I keep my head down. He inhales as if to say something, but then he pushes his chair back and leaves the table in silence. Mom leaves too, and I hear her long exhale, and then I do kick the leg of the table.